answer to vote 5 now.
Hollis has talent as an artist.
The king of late-night TV, Johnny Carson, is dead. Carson died of complications from emphysema early this morning. He was surrounded by his family. As you well know, he leaves behind a legacy. He was the way America said goodnight for 3 decades. From big stars to animal acts to weddings to the man who would eventually take over for the master, they were all on Johnny's show. John William Carson was born 79 years ago in Iowa. He was raised in Nebraska. He began his career at age 14 with the magic act called The Great Carson, something he kept in his repertoire for years. By college, he was in radio, paving the way for television, eventually replacing Jack Paar on The Tonight Show in 1962. With him all the way, sidekick Ed McMahon.
I can't believe it. The last guest.
Carson's last show with guests featured Robin Williams and Bette Midler. It was May 21st, 1992. In a statement released today, Bette Midler said, quote, "I was his last guest, and it was one of the most moving experiences of my life. He had it all. A little bit of devil, a whole lot of angel, wit, charm, good looks, superb timing, and great, great class." There were no guests on his final show, just a tribute of clips and behind-the-scenes peeks. A classy way to say goodbye.
You people watching, I can only tell you that it has been an honor and a privilege to come into your homes all these years and entertain you. And I hope when I find something that I want to do and I think you will like and come back, that you'll be as gracious inviting me into your home as you have been. I bid you a very heartfelt good night.
The world will miss him. Reaction to Carson's death pouring in tonight from around the world. President Bush says he and his family mourn the loss of Johnny Carson. The president issued this statement, quote, "Laura and I are saddened by the death of Johnny Carson. He was a steady and reassuring presence in the home across America for 3 decades. His wit and insight made Americans laugh and think and had a profound influence on American life and entertainment. We send our prayers and condolences to the entire Carson family." David Letterman, who hoped to be heir to Johnny's throne, had this to say about Carson. "It is a sad day for his family and the country. All of us who came after are pretenders. We will not see the likes of him again. He gave me a shot at his show and in turn gave me my career. Thank God for videotapes and DVDs. In that regard, he will always be around. He was the best, a star and a gentleman."
Joe Garagiola Sr. used to guest host on The Tonight Show. He also was a frequent Carson guest. Tonight, he shares his memories of the king of late night with Vicki Nguyen. She joins us live in Fox News Central. Vicki.
That's right. Not a lot of people here in the Valley know Joe Garagiola as a fill-in host, but he actually filled in for Johnny Carson for an entire week. Tonight, he told us about some of his fondest memories of the late night legend.
It was huge to get on his show.
Joe Garagiola would know. The former pro baseball star turned TV broadcaster got to know Johnny Carson after being a guest on his show several times.
He just made you feel like, hey, come on, we're going to have some fun. And you did.
He says most would be surprised to learn the popular entertainer was actually very shy off camera, but Garagiola says above all, Carson cared about people.
He had a genuine interest in what you were doing.
Garagiola remembers filling in for Carson. He has a signed picture from the first night he hosted the show and interviewed John Lennon and Paul McCartney.
That's very huge. And people say, were you nervous? And I say, no, I wasn't nervous. I was scared to death.
He says there will never be another Johnny Carson. His death brings the end of an era.
He was the Babe Ruth of the talk show guys. I mean, there was nobody, there is nobody comes close.
Will you hold it for me? Okay, here's one.
Garagiola says Carson embodied the blueprint for a comedian, a host, and an entertainer all in one, and he certainly set the bar very high. Linda?
Well, you know, Vicki, I'll pick it up from here. The other thing, you know, when he said that he was so nervous interviewing the Beatles, I think that was what was so great about Johnny Carson, is whether it was a little kid like you saw there or a big star, he just had that same warmth with everyone.
That's right. Garagiola said he made everyone feel important, and he genuinely cared about everyone.
Vicki Nguyen live tonight.
Mourners who've never met Johnny Carson are leaving flowers outside his Malibu home. The longtime smoker had announced in 2002 that he was suffering from emphysema. After Carson left The Tonight Show in '92, he stayed mostly out of the limelight. He was awarded the Medal of Freedom a few months after his last show, and the following year he was given the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Pick him up. Sit in your trunk. All right, ready? Trunk up. Trunk up. And you can see that.
Friends, soulmates. Always a good sport. Johnny Carson entertained and uplifted audiences for years. Boy, every night at 11:30 or 10:30 here in the Mountain Time Zone. A longtime guest and animal trainer Joan Embry called Carson one of a kind. Says she'll miss him and that he will always be a part of her life. He had an impeccable sense of timing, a knack for finding new talent, and for 3 decades kept America company as we climbed into bed at night.
And this morning, not just Hollywood, but all of America is mourning the loss of Johnny Carson.
You know what I feel like? A chicken. And the Colonel is whipping up those 11 herbs and spices.
In Hollywood, stars and fans have found memories of one of America's best-loved entertainers, the king of late-night TV, Johnny Carson.
I feel like he is a big factor in me having any success at all here. I mean, he was an inspiration for me even to get into stand-up.
Romano's sentiments were matched by a number of Carson's longtime friends and contemporaries.
He was a giant, and I miss him terribly.
Everybody who's ever seen Johnny Carson has always said he's the best. They compared every other talk show host in the history of television to Johnny, and Johnny always comes out ahead.
And other late-night mainstay, David Letterman, also remembers the impact Carson had on his career, saying, and we quote, "We will not see the likes of him again. He gave me a shot on his show, and in doing so, he gave me a career. A night doesn't go by that I don't ask myself, what would Johnny have done?"
He had the humanity, the warmth, and he could also be biting and cutting and funny. So we're gonna miss him. Yeah, we lost a great guy.
Carson's longtime fill-in Joan Rivers and former writer on the show, it's how she got her start, says about the passing terribly sad, and says she owes her success to Johnny Carson.
He was generous. He wanted you to come on his show and be better than him and be funnier than him. And he was delighted when someone got their laugh. And that's a very rare thing.
Carson was awarded the Medal of Freedom a few months after his last show in 1992, and the next year was given the Kennedy Honors Lifetime Achievement Award. And I know Corey and all of us, you know, we're big fans, and he had a tremendous influence on everything we do in television, even in the news business, right, Corey?
Boy, he really made you stay up late. It's hard to imagine staying up past 11:30 to watch television, but I don't do it anymore because I work this shift, but boy, I spent an awful lot of hours watching Johnny Carson. Well, here's the weather scene. Around the west, it's going to be kind of a quiet day for sure. We do have some showers on the way, and it looks as though we'll continue to see the clouds working their way up out of Mexico. Within them, a few rain showers and some snow.
He was very private, and you know, not too many people knew what he was doing in his private life.
And apparently just as happy with his post on the air life as he was, you know, it's like he was able to just kind of go into retirement and enjoy it.
Right.
Here's what we're doing today. We're putting our email address up on the screen and asking you to send us your favorite memory of Johnny Carson. If you used to love to watch him, you can email us here at Fox 10. So pouring in from all over the country, Bette Midler, his final guest on the show, called him, quote, a little bit of devil, a little bit of a whole lot of angel, and wit and charm. Carson's faithful sidekicks are also talking about the loss.
1992. Johnny give you the blessing, a comic, meant you were on your way. And every comic in the world knew it, and there was such a scramble to be on the show.
Johnny Carson died at his home in Malibu, surrounded by family. He was 79. Carson's family says there is no public memorial service planned. Jay Leno will honor him this evening on The Tonight Show.
Valley legend and broadcasting legend Joe Garagiola is talking about the loss. He was a guest on The Tonight Show several times and also a substitute host several times in the 70s.
He should be remembered as a man who made us in tough times forget about the tough times. Remember Vietnam War, the assassination. He was the guy that we went to.
Garagiola once got a chance to fill in for Carson, interviewing John Lennon and Paul McCartney. He says Carson was an expert interviewer and will remember Carson as the man who made America feel good.
And she's the reason.
Walk of Fame. Carson died yesterday after struggling with emphysema. Good morning, everybody. It's January 24th. I'm Rick D'Amico along with Ron Hoon. Jen Burgess is off today. A sad day in the world of entertainment, Ron, the death of Johnny Carson.
No kidding, Rick. He sure had an impact on so many of us over the years. And also in the news,